It was a day like any other at the Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C., where families were enjoying the beautiful weather and the beautiful animals. However, for the zookeepers, it would be one of the scariest days in their careers. Because that day, they discovered something unimaginable, something that shook the foundations of the zoo. They had lost a baby panda. Yes, you heard it right, a baby giant panda. And this is not just any animal. It's a rare species on the verge of extinction. So you can imagine how serious the situation was. This little creature had been born just 2 months earlier, and its disappearance sent shockwaves through the zoo staff and the entire community of animal lovers. The search began immediately, but where could the tiny panda be? In the vast expanse of the zoo, every minute that passed without finding him brought more and more concern to the fore. Finally, when they found him, his state was far from what they expected. You don't want to miss out on the details of this incredible story, do you? Well, then stay with us and let's find out what happened to the missing panda cub together. The birth of a hope. On August 21st, 2015, the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., experienced an event that filled everyone with joy and hope. Qian, the female giant panda in their care, gave birth to a healthy baby. For China, this was a momentous occasion. As you know, giant pandas are critically endangered species, and any new life meant a step towards preserving this magnificent animal. In fact, pandas have been on the brink of extinction for decades now, largely due to habitat loss and a dwindling population. According to estimates, there are only around 1,800 giant pandas left in the wild, making them among the most endangered species on our planet. But back to the happy news. That day, the zoo staff watched with bated breath as the newborn panda took his first tentative steps into the world. His fur was thick and plushy, and his big black eyes sparkled with curiosity. Everyone at the zoo was thrilled and celebrated the arrival of this little ball of fluff, who quickly won everyone's hearts. The joy was palpable, and the little panda became the star attraction, capturing the attention of visitors from all over the United States. The little panda's gender was revealed shortly after his birth, and much to everyone's delight, it was a boy. The little guy was given the name Bao Bao, which means treasure in Chinese, a true treasure indeed. But little Bao Bao's story wasn't just about being adorable and fluffy. It symbolized hope for the future of his species. The National Zoo saw it as an opportunity to educate people about giant pandas and the importance of protecting them. Bao Bao's upbringing was carefully planned. He was fed only the finest bamboo shoots, and his mother, Qian, was constantly by his side, teaching him the ways of the panda. But as weeks went by, it became clear that little Bao Bao was not thriving as they hoped. Despite receiving the best care possible, the cub continued to lose weight instead of gaining it. This worried the zoo staff, who worked tirelessly to find the cause of his health problems. They knew that if they didn't act fast, Bao Bao might not make it. The critical decision. After much deliberation, the team of experts at the National Zoo made a critical decision that would change Bao Bao's life forever. Given his delicate health and uncertain future, they decided to hand-rear him. This meant that he would no longer stay with his mother, but would receive special care from humans who would feed and look after him around the clock. It was a tough choice, but they believed it was the best option to give Bao Bao a chance at survival. Days turned into weeks, and under the close watch of the zoo's veterinary team, Bao Bao gradually began to gain weight and strength. However, this progress came at a cost. Being separated from his mother so early had left an indelible mark on the panda cub. His socialization skills were stunted, and he developed a strong aversion to humans. This created a big challenge for the zookeepers. They needed to find a way to help Bao Bao overcome his fear of humans and learn to trust them again. Months went by, and although Bao Bao seemed physically healthier, his behavioral issues remained. The little panda still shied away from human contact and seemed reluctant to adapt to his surroundings. At that point, everyone involved in Bao Bao's care wondered if they would ever see a day when the panda cub would become the friendly and sociable animal we imagine. A sudden disappearance. Meanwhile, the zoo continued to welcome visitors from all over the country. Among them were many families who came specifically to see the adorable pandas. And although Bao Bao's health had improved, his behavior didn't change much. He remained elusive and distant, making it even more difficult for the zookeepers to approach him. Then came the fateful day when the zoo staff realized that something was seriously wrong with Bao Bao. Despite all their efforts to ensure his well-being, they noticed that the little panda had stopped eating and seemed listless. Worried, they rushed to help him, but it was too late. When they tried to get closer, they found that the enclosure was empty and there was no sign of Bao Bao anywhere. Panic immediately spread throughout the zoo. How could the panda cub have escaped without anyone noticing? Where could he be hiding? The search began immediately. Dozens of zoo employees and security guards searched every corner of the enclosure and the surrounding area, but there was no sign of the missing panda. Minutes turned into hours, and the search grew more and more desperate. All staff were mobilized, and no effort was spared to find Bao Bao. But the longer he was missing, the more concern grew among the people responsible for his care. They knew time was running out, and they had to find him as soon as possible. As night fell, the search continued without pause. The zoo staff refused to give up hope that they would find the little panda safe and sound. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. One of the zookeepers noticed a small trail of footprints that looked like they came from Bao Bao. Could this be a lead? Without wasting a moment, they followed the tracks. Hope surged anew. They were getting closer to the missing panda. When they finally found him, they couldn't believe their eyes. Bao Bao was in a place they never expected, and his condition was far from what they had imagined. A shocking discovery. The zookeepers had followed the tracks left by Bao Bao's paws, and the trail had led them to a secluded area of the zoo, a place that was not part of the panda enclosure. There, hidden between some rocks and bushes, they found the missing cub. But what they saw next shocked them deeply. Despite their quick reaction, Bao Bao's condition was concerning. The little panda was dirty, weak, and seemed disoriented. It was clear that he had been missing for several hours, and this worried the zoo staff. Quickly, they picked him up carefully and rushed him to the veterinary center. They knew that the next few hours would be crucial for his health, and they wouldn't rest until they got him back on his feet. At the veterinary center, a team of specialists immediately attended to Bao Bao. First, they gave him water and food, which the little panda eagerly drank and ate. Then they examined him thoroughly to check for injuries or other complications that might have arisen during his absence. The news was not good. Despite their quick response, Bao Bao had suffered the effects of dehydration and exposure. His body was weak and he needed urgent care. However, the zoo staff didn't panic. With determination and care, they started the long process of helping the little panda recover. Days of intense work. In the following days, the zoo staff worked tirelessly to help Bao Bao recover. They provided him with the best veterinary care, nutrition, and a lot of love. Little by little, the little panda began to regain his strength and seemed more like the playful and curious cub everyone remembered. The incident shocked the zoo community. Everyone wondered how Bao Bao had managed to escape his enclosure and why he had stayed hidden for so long. A thorough investigation was conducted to determine what had happened. and the findings revealed a series of events that no one had anticipated. According to the investigation, Bao Bao had managed to slip through a small gap in his enclosure, which had gone unnoticed. Once outside, the little panda had wandered through the zoo grounds until he ended up in the secluded spot where he was eventually found. The incident raised concerns about the safety measures in place at the zoo and prompted an immediate review to prevent such an incident from happening again. The zoo management took swift action, repairing the enclosure and reinforcing security measures to ensure the well-being of all animals in their care. In addition, they launched an awareness campaign to educate visitors about the importance of respecting the animal's space and following safety guidelines. The incident involving Bao Bao was a wake-up call for everyone at the zoo. They realized that even the smallest detail could have serious consequences, and that vigilance was essential at all times. Although the ordeal had been traumatic for the little panda, the support and care he received from the zoo staff paid off. Slowly but surely, Bao Bao recovered and returned to his daily routine at the zoo. His health was carefully monitored, and the team of veterinarians remained on the alert for any signs of stress or illness. However, none of this was visible in Bao Bao. The little panda seemed happier than ever before. Today, Bao Bao is a young adult panda living at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. He has overcome countless obstacles and emerged stronger than ever. His story serves as an inspiration to all those who admire his tenacity and strength. Now, every time he takes a tentative step or enjoys a delicious bamboo shoot, it's a reminder of how far he's come. And you? What did you think of the story of the missing panda cub? What emotions did it awaken in you? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you want to continue enjoying incredible stories, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.